Welcome to Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha, a podcast shared by David Roylance. This podcast is dedicated to guiding you to completely eliminate the discontent mind and the suffering it causes by attaining enlightenment. Learn and practice the teachings of Gautama Buddha that will guide you to fully attain a peaceful, calm, serene, and content mind with joy. To support this podcast, visit patreon.com/support Buddha or visit buddhadailywisdom.com, where you will discover a full range of courses, retreats, and online learning resources to assist you on the path to enlightenment. Now, here's our teacher to share more.
Sawadee Krap. Hello and welcome to Daily Wisdom, Walking the Path with the Buddha. Today is our group learning program, and I'm going to be guiding you in a breathing mindfulness meditation session, then opening up to any and all questions that students have. Whether you're in Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, you can join us for meditation, and then afterwards, if you'd like to ask questions about anything related to the path to enlightenment, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm going to start with some chanting to ease us into the meditation, then I'm going to come back in with some guidance. There's going to be a period of time where it's just quiet and we're all meditating together. Then I'm going to come out of the meditation with some more chanting, and then that's where I'll open up to any and all questions that you guys might have. So welcome to anybody who's joining us, whether you're joining for the first time or you've been joining regularly. If you'd like to pull up a meditation cushion or a chair or a bench or anything that you'd like to use for meditation, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm going to get started with the chanting, and you're more than welcome to join along if you like. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanhang Abhivateyami Savakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang namami Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sammuno Sakhato Rokavitu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusanang Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath. A nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, Just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then, whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathe in gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then, whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Emakewa Hotang Makewanhang Apivateyami Savakato Emakewata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Emakewato Sawaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso emakewa Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vichacharanang Sammuno Sakato Rogavitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusanang Poto Bhagavati. Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to everyone. Nice to see everyone in class today. If you have any questions that you would like answered related to the path to enlightenment, you can let me know by putting that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and ask any and all questions that you like. So let me know if you guys have any questions that you'd like answered. Okay, it looks like Kristen has a question or maybe more. Go ahead, Kristen.
Hi, thanks, Teacher David. So I have a question about sensual desire. And how would you describe sensual desire? And also, how does that kind of connect with mental objects?
Sure.
That makes sense.
So,
Okay.
so sensual desire is where the mind has the longing, yearning through the sense bases. So whenever we talk about craving, desire, attachment, wants, and expectations, we're pretty much talking about sensual desire. So when we talk about it just basically and simply, we just say craving, desire, attachment, wants, expectations. But when we talk about it as a fetter or a pollution, we call it sensual desire. And this is where the mind is longing, yearning through the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the body, and then the mind itself. These are the 6 sense bases. The mind is longing for permanently agreeable contact. So these are the doorways that you experience contact. This is how the mind takes in contact from the outside world, and it wants things to be permanently agreeable. So when you see certain things, if they're agreeable to the mind, and the mind has a certain craving, it'll get those pleasant feelings. But when the mind sees something like a physical form that is disagreeable to it, then it will experience painful feelings. So I usually give an example, like if you see a young child walking down the street with their parents holding hands, you're like, oh, that's so beautiful. Wow, so great. Maybe you get pleasant feelings from that. But now you turn the corner and you see a parent slap their child across the face. Oh my goodness, that's disagreeable. And that's something that you saw through the eye. And it's that central desire, that longing, yearning for things that are permanently agreeable, that now when you see something disagreeable, you experience the painful feeling. So you need to eradicate the central desire where you're no longer favoring and opposing, or you're not seeing things as agreeable or disagreeable. It's just contact. So that person who pulls up to you with music next to you in the car, instead of getting all happy and excited because it's your favorite song, it's like, oh, wow, that's really good music. Wow, okay, let's dance. Let's have a good time. But your mind doesn't get conditioned pleasant feelings from it. So then when somebody pulls up with music that you don't particularly listen to, it's like, wow, I don't listen to that kind of music, but I'm glad he's having fun or she's having fun. You don't have to be upset or angry or frustrated. So central desire, the mind is wanting this permanently agreeable contact through all these sense bases. In the mind sense base, all the others seem to be pretty straightforward for everybody to understand. The mind sense base is like, say something you happened in the past to you that was particularly pleasurable or painful. You could be thinking about that in the present moment, and now you're forming either pleasant or painful feelings based on something that happened in the past. There's no contact through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, the body. It's just something the mind's thinking about. Or say there's something in the future, like maybe you would like to go to Thailand and you get so excited because I'm going to go to Thailand. There's no contact that's happened. You're just maybe sitting in your car or sitting at the office and the mind's thinking about Thailand and getting all excited. But then the mind can also be thinking about something in the future and get painful feelings from it too. So that's the sixth sense space, that the mind is having this contact, wanting things to be permanently agreeable. Now, in terms of a mental object, that is a mental object. Central desire is a mental object. A mental object is a deeply rooted container in the mind, and all those fetters are mental objects. We typically talk about mental objects as a unwholesome quality, like the fetters. So personal existence view, doubt, wrong behavior and observances, central desire, ill will, desire for form, desire for formless, conceit, restlessness, and ignorance. Those are the 10 fetters, and they're all mental objects. They're deeply rooted in the mind, and they need to be uprooted out of the mind. That's what you're doing on the path to enlightenment, is you're purifying the mind of these mental objects. But there's some cases, because of the way that we're translating the words of the Buddha, where this word mental object is being used in other situations too. It can be used for a wholesome thing. We could call a loving kindness a mental object, or compassion a mental object, or we could call thoughts or ideas a mental object. But more likely than not, 85, 90, 95% of the time, when we use the word mental object, it's related to these 10 fetters, and that's what you're purifying your mind of. And you ultimately need to understand each one of those fetters and what the symptoms of them are, so that then when you, with your mindfulness, spot those symptoms, you can know how to cut that off and let it go and eliminate it. Because each one of these fetters have certain symptoms that you're going to experience because of them being in your mind. And that's what I teach in the retreat in August. There's a retreat where I spend about an hour to an hour and a half on each individual fetter, explaining what it is, what the symptoms are, how to eliminate it, and how to know that you've eliminated it. So that's central desire, and that's what a mental object is, a deeply rooted container in the mind.
Okay. All right. I'll go back and I'll find that recording. Maybe I'll listen to that. Okay. Thank you, Teacher David.
Yeah, you're welcome. That retreat has been recorded, I think once. I recorded it. It's on our YouTube channel, in the podcast too, I think. Yep.
Okay, great.
All right, looks like Robert has a question. Go ahead, sir. Or maybe more than one.
So when you're talking about like mental objects and craving for them, one of the things I'm thinking about is like a person or a relationship with a person that you have craving for or attachment to. Is that a mental object or an attachment to of the mind?
Those are the same thing. So when we talk about craving, desire, attachment, we're talking about sensual desire. And
Right.
that is a mental object. So it just depends if we're talking about it really basically and very simply, we'll just say craving, desire, attachment. But really, we're talking about sensual desire. But there are some cravings, desires, attachments that aren't part of sensual desire. So, like the fetter of desire for form, where you desire to exist in this world permanently. That's the sixth fetter. That's not part of sensual desire, but it is a craving, desire, attachment. Or say, like, the mind has a craving where it's clinging to this body or the mind, like that personal existence view. We will call it personal existence view and kind of separate it from sensual desire. So sensual desire encompasses pretty much the vast majority of all cravings, desires, attachments, but there's some that aren't categorized under sensual desire. There are other fetters and other mental objects.
So just to clarify, so the mental object is sensual desire. It's not like a specific thing or person. Like,
Right.
okay.
There's 10 individual fetters, or we could say there's 10 individual mental objects. And you're working to uproot those out of the mind. And one of those, a really big one, is sensual desire. That's like a huge one. So when we talk about like attachment to a person, that's sensual desire, because the mind is now craving and clinging to have this person in your life permanently, and that's agreeable to you, to see this person, to hear this person, to maybe smell them, to have them touch your body, to, all these different things, that all the senses, the mind is holding on to this person because they find it to be agreeable to them. But now there's somebody else who you see as disagreeable. And now when you have contact with that person, your mind is repulsed by that and wants to push it away, or bitter, harsh, and hostile, or put your expectations on someone. And all that is coming from sensual desire.
So the person themselves is not the mental object.
Right.
Like, okay, got it.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the other questions that I'm like forming, but I don't think I have the right specific language for is, so like, let's say so somebody passes away and you had a strong relationship with them, that's gone, but you still have this need for attachment to somebody like them. Is that still a mental object, or is that like, how do you work on that attachment to make sure it doesn't go elsewhere?
Yeah, so
I don't know if that makes sense.
so there's not a need for an attachment. It's just
Yeah.
that the mind is
I just-
attached. So that's still sensual desire.
Okay.
That the mind is longing, yearning, wanting this permanently agreeable contact. Now grandma has died, and now the mind isn't getting what it wants. Its sensual desire isn't being met because it can't see grandma anymore. It can't hear grandma anymore. It's not getting its sensual desire fulfilled. So now kind of what I think you're talking about is maybe they grab onto grandpa even tighter. They don't want to
Yeah.
let grandpa go. And now this is still sensual desire. The mind's holding on really tightly. And what you can do is you can, through all the teachings of the Buddha, mainly the Eightfold Path, that's working to eliminate sensual desire. And this other mental object of ill will goes along with sensual desire, because when your sensual desires are getting met, those pleasant feelings come in, the conditioned pleasant feelings like happiness, excitement, elation. But when the mind's not getting its sensual desires fulfilled, that's where the ill will has the potential to arise. The anger, hatred, frustration, agitation, annoyance, that's going to arise in the mind because its sensual desire is not getting fulfilled.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. These mental objects, it's really helpful when you learn all the fetters and you understand what the symptoms are, because now you're not just working with like the basics of craving, anger, and ignorance. You're not working with just, wants and expectations. You're working at a much deeper level of understanding the mind and exactly what fetter is being triggered in any given situation. And you can really target that much better than when we just kind of talk more generally and broadly. But that's where people start, right? You have to start somewhere. So the Buddha teaches in these layers. So that's why you start off learning about craving, desire, attachment, wants, and expectations. But ultimately, you would like to move this into understanding each of the individual fetters, so that then whenever they're arising, you know exactly what fetters are arising. And typically it's more than one fetter. If sensual desire is involved, there's typically ill will involved, but there can also be conceit in there too. But being able to diagnose your own mind down to that level of detail will really help you to be skillful with eliminating those out of the mind.
Got it. I think it was the language of mental objects made me think like it specifically is a mental object, and there's many different like objects in your mind, like people or things like that. But it's more basic than that. It's the actual fetters.
Yeah, it's individual pollutions of the mind. And these are deeply rooted containers in the mind. So there's a container of personal existence view, of doubt and wrong behavior observances, sensual desire, ill will, and all the rest. And what you're doing with those 4 foundations of mindfulness is anytime discontentedness is arising, you would like to try to catch it as a bodily sensation and cut it off and let it go. Kind of putting a blockade in your mind, no longer allowing it to form a conditioned feeling. But then all the while, you're proactively working with things like breathing mindfulness meditation, generosity, loving kindness meditation, and a whole host of other things to uproot these mental objects out of the mind. Because the more you clean up those mental objects out of the mind, the less discontentedness you will have. One of the ways you can think about a mental object is think about it like dust in the corner of your room. It's just sitting there in the corner of your room and that get kicked up at any point, and then everybody's starting to choke. You're starting to choke and gag on the dust. And what you'd like to do is kind of put a blockade on the window, not allowing any dust to come in the house anymore, so that you can get this dust in the corner up out of the house so you can have a nice clean house. And now once you get all the dust out, it won't come back in anymore. That's with your mind. With your house, that's not the case. Yeah. All right. Looks like Kristen has some more questions. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, I have one more question.
Uh-huh.
So suppose, kind of, your mind is in that state of discontentedness, right? You're battling with some, whatever thought, right? Like a thought that's now generated a feeling that now I'm uncomfortable. I'm not getting something that I want. Now I'm irritated, but I haven't said anything yet, right? I haven't actually acted out in any way, but it's all kind of internal. Is that affecting my karma in any way? As long as I'm like kind of working on it internally and trying to, uproot whatever fetter I'm sort of challenged with in that moment, and I'm letting it go, but I haven't acted out in any sort of like unwholesome way. How am I doing at that point?
Sure.
But it's still like in my mind and I'm struggling, but I just haven't yelled at anyone, even though I may want to, but I kept it in, right? Something like that.
This is what I call being quietly frustrated, right? And you go through this long period of time where in the past you would have acted out, but now you're learning that that's unwise and you're kind of quietly frustrated. You'll go through kind of almost years of this, where you're restraining the mind. So two things here. When you're experiencing that frustration in your mind, that is your karma. That because your mind still has craving, anger, and ignorance in the mind, you are experiencing those frustrated feelings. So that is your karma. The fact that you're not acting upon it and you're not yelling and hollering at anybody, that's improving your karma, that now you're not generating any new unwholesome karma to deal with. You're just dealing with it internally. And now when you're cutting that off and trying to get rid of that out of your mind and you're not acting upon it, next time that thing happens, your frustration is going to be less and less and less because you're extinguishing your karma now. You're extinguishing your unwholesome karma. And then eventually you'll get to the point where that frustration doesn't even arise because whatever that thing is that's occurring, your mind has let go of that craving and now it's just not there. And now it's like, wow, look at that. Not even upset. Wow, this is pretty nice. So you need to go through this period of quiet frustration with each one of these cravings, desires, attachments until the mind has let go fully, and then you'll have more peace and more joy. So you're dealing with this unwholesome karma that is coming back to you, but you're choosing not to put it out in your intention, speech, or actions so that you're not generating any new unwholesome karma. You're just dealing with the unwholesome karma that's coming back to you for yourself. And now the more you extinguish that, then you won't have to deal with it so much as you go forward in the future. It'll just become less and less and less.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I'm definitely feeling like there's, I'm worried. Like I know that I feel like that is my karma. Like when I'm in that state, like something's happened that I've created in my own mind. I'm holding on, right? I'm the cause of my own discontentedness. So I know that it's created within me. But yeah, that worry of like, oh God, I don't want to continue on that like cycle of continuing that. So that's good to hear that it is. I understand that's my karma, but I'm not generating any new unwholesome karma. So that's good.
Right. And one of the things the Buddha teaches you about the natural law of karma is that there has to be contact in order for karma to be created. So like when you come together with Ted, you guys are creating karma because there's contact between you. And if you talk in nice and polite and friendly and respectful ways, you're generating wholesome karma amongst each other. But if you're being bitter, harsh, and hostile to each other, you're generating unwholesome karma. So when you understand that contact is like a prerequisite, it's a condition in order to create karma, then you understand that when your mind's frustrated and agitated, the last thing you're interested in doing is kind of like going around other people and start venting that, right? Because it's just going to create new unwholesome karma. So this is where you kind of quietly go in a room somewhere, calm your mind down, or you go for a walk out in the neighborhood, go for a bike ride. You just completely get it out of your mind so that you're not having contact with anybody to create any new karma. Or like say you're in a conversation with someone and you were completely fine entering the conversation, but now something's been said or something's been done, you're noticing the agitation starting to arise, you just break contact and you walk away. Because then you know you're not going to create any unwholesome karma because there's no contact. And you can just go away to your room or to take a walk or go shopping or whatever it is that you're going to do. You can just go off for a drive and now you're not creating any unwholesome karma. So knowing that contact is a condition for karma to be created really helps you because you understand to break contact and not allow there to be any intention, speech, or actions that come out from that frustration or agitation.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great questions, guys. Let me see if we have anything anywhere else. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions anywhere else. So I'm just going to end here by thanking everyone for joining. Thank you all. It's nice that you guys are interested in learning and practicing these teachings to be able to transform the mind and move it closer and closer to this enlightened mental state. I'm going to be starting the group learning program over from the very beginning on June 1st. So if you have any friends or family that you've been talking with you and they said that they're interested in learning, this is a great time for them to learn. People can come join the group learning program at any point, but June 1st is a great opportunity because it's the very first class of the beginning of the group learning program. On Sunday in the group learning program, I'm going to be in chapter 21, which is titled Do No Harm, What is the Future of the Planet? And you can read this to be able to understand what I'm teaching there. And then during the class, we're going to have a really nice discussion amongst all of us. And then, of course, on Wednesday next week, I'll be doing loving kindness meditation and opening up to any and all questions that you guys have. So thank you guys again for joining, and perhaps we'll see you in a future class. Be well and take care. Sawadee Kap.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To provide support for this podcast, visit patreon.com/support Buddha. To access more teachings, visit buddhadailywisdom.com. There, you will discover a full range of courses, retreats, and online resources to assist you on the path to enlightenment. Remember to establish a daily, consistent meditation practice, along with learning and practicing these teachings. A well-developed meditation practice is the foundation in which to train the mind to attain enlightenment.